Oh, hello, hello. It's your boy E here with another episode of the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast. Thank you all for joining the show. Want to remind you guys that today is Friday. Hope you guys are, sit down, get ready to watch an amazing SmackDown. It's airing right now on the West Coast. If you're on the East Coast and you already know what kind of happened, of course, you can always participate in the chat. Your boy E never hates. Just be a little courteous. I kind of want to be surprised. I love WWE Smackdown. Can't wait to find out. Obviously, this is there's only two more SmackDowns left until the pay-per-view. That usually is a foreshadow for big things to come. But yeah, honestly, hope you guys are having an amazing Friday. Looking forward toward the weekend, and most importantly, 4th of July next week. Yay! If you're a firework person, cool. If not, then that's fine as well. Like, you know what I mean? Some people like it, some people don't like it. Much like a lot of things, a lot of aspects in life. So, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast. Today on tap, we have our WWE Smackdown preview. We have my Thursday Night Wrestling review, TNA and Impact, TNA Impact, also Ring of Honor, and then we're gonna jump into some AEW. We're gonna talk about Forbidden Door, give you guys some of my predictions. That's gonna happen on Sunday. For a segment, we're gonna talk about the National Wrestling Alliance looking to invade rumored and actually confirmed to be looking to invade another wrestling promotion, either it's the WWE, TNA, the MLW, Stardom, AEW. It doesn't matter. We're gonna dig into that. And lastly, every Friday, my last segment, I want to give you guys some wrestling news to kind of ponder over the weekend. Have something to talk about with a fellow wrestling fan you might meet at a bar, or sitting on a laundromat, or standing in the line at a grocery store. Basically anywhere you might have social interactions. Your boy E here, always hooking you guys up. But before we move on any further, I want to remind you guys to use the tips and donations link at the GSMCpodcast.net. We get a number of questions from viewers like you that come in during the show. So to ensure that your question gets read on air, I ask you guys to use this link, the GSMCpodcast.net. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Give me some of your projected storylines. What you want to see on WWE Smackdown. Who do you want to see, defeat Cody Rhodes or someone? Do you want to see the Judgment Day finally break up? Would you love to see Rhea Ripley, tear Dominic Mysterio a new one? You know what I mean? Like, after all the flirting he's been doing with Liv Morgan. So just let me know. The link is at the GSMCpodcast.net. All right, so we're going to talk about segment one. We're going to talk about WWE Smackdown. It's going to be a good one. We are live at the Madison Square Garden tonight in New York City. WWE Friday Night Smackdown. Like I said before, it's the second SmackDown till there's only two more SmackDowns until Money in the Bank, so a lot of stuff has to be heard tonight. Definitely a lot of planning, definitely a lot of promotions. It's heading toward a really, really good pay-per-view. Jakob Fatu is being honored in the Bloodline today. You have Bloodline, acknowledgement. Should be interesting to find out what happens with that. Solo Sikoa is in full swing. Absolutely full swing. He's going full tribal chief mode. No one's gonna stop him. Paul Heyman utterly just heartbroken. Hearing the news that Roman Reigns is never going to come back, but of course I believe, I believe Solo Sikoa as far as I can throw him, which is like not very far. I don't even think I can get close to touching him. I think he'd, Simone spike me or something. But no, a lot of good stuff happening on SmackDown. Definitely, Jake. Now you kind of have the full bloodline, like Conor Roman had. He had the two brothers, and he had his enforcer Solo Sikoa, and Solo Sikoa's enforcer is Jakob Fatu. After the damage he did last week, you're going to see Cody Rhodes also respond. He, has been, confirmed to have two broken ribs. Not going to vacate the WWE Undisputed Championship anytime soon. And, of course, at first, first we should throw some flowers to Jakob Fatu from the MLW to finally, make his debut to WWE, his much anticipated, his much longed wait. I was, excited to see Jacob, but I did not know he was going to come into, like, of course, the fashion like this. I honestly think it's great for him. It's great for his, his wrestling career. Finally made it to WWE. Finally made it with the Inoue family, also the Fatus and also the Mayavias. So, congratulations to Jakob Fatu. Absolutely loved his debut. I thought it was absolutely, display of dominance, display of control, display of future. Just this guy's gonna be hard to beat. This guy's going to be extremely hard to beat. Not a lot of people. That's the reason why WWE tried so hard to kind of hold off on Jakob Fatu debuting before Solo Sikoa actually kind of cemented his name as the tribal chief. I still don't see it, with Solo Sikoa. I want to, of course, with the storyline and stuff like that. But, I'm not really buying it. I honestly think, Tungaloa, also, Jacob Fatu has a little more credibility, a little more accomplishments, that kind of surpass him. So if anything, they should be the tribal chief. But of course, just for that, you know, you're gonna have that storyline. When Roman Reigns comes back to WWE, Solo Sikoa was his enforcer. He was doing the one he had left after Jimmy and Jay left the bloodline. And of course when they kicked out Sami Zayn. But it's gonna be huge. I'm anticipating maybe like a Bloodline Civil War heading towards Survivor Series. A lot of people still kind of speculate that Roman Reigns will make an appearance at WWE SummerSlam. An appearance, maybe, but doing anything inside the ring, fighting, or anything besides cutting a good promo, I don't think it's going to happen. I honestly don't think it's going to happen that soon. Roman Reigns is going to come back, and when he comes back, he is going to be the biggest baby face ever. Finally, a babyface at the WWE Universe. This whole entire time that WWE has been trying, ever since John Cena retired, ever since The Undertaker retired, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, you name them. After they retired, they really wanted Roman to kind of be someone bigger. They wanted Roman to, kind of be that guy that people, he's like a superhero. He's a superhero that, nobody really, honestly, no one really accepted him. It took him to go heel to finally kind of be over with the fans. They're like, you know what? This makes sense. The WWE Universe isn't stupid. They understood. They're like, all right, let's see where he goes with this because, being forced down our throats as baby faces, we're going to boo him every single time he's on TV. We're going to boo him in every stadium is, that has a live, audience. For one, I went to a WWE No Mercy event. I believe it was back in 2000 and I think it was 2018 where he fought I think it was Braun Strowman. No, it wasn't Braun Strowman. I think it was I think it was Braun Strowman. And no, wait, I could be lying. I think it was Braun Strowman against Brock Lesnar. And then you had him fight John Cena that night. I'm not too sure, but don't quote me on that. But Roman Reigns wasn't liked. Was the biggest, most famous, most popular person to boo because a lot of people saw through the BS. They're like, WWE really is forcing this guy down our throats. It's to the point where now we kind of feel bad, and you never want to be popular in WWE or in professional wrestling for the audience kind of feeling sorry for you. So, congratulations to the whole, the bloodline kind of storyline kind of unfolding. Jacob Fatu, and also when Roman Reigns comes back, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be lit. When he comes back, it's WWE is going to be, man, the ratings are going to increase. The ratings are going to increase like crazy. So, we have a 6-man tag team match heading forward to Money in the Bank. Honestly, they need to make it. They need to make it an 8-man tag. They need to upgrade it. They need to find someone to tag team with the Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens, and Randy Orton. Because it would just make no sense to having one person in the bloodline kind of lingering around, so to speak. Obviously, they're going to interfere. Obviously, they're going to pay dividends. As soon as the match starts, they're going to be able to, just kind of derive the referee's attention. So I think WWE needs to make this a 4-on-4 match because other than that, I feel like, as a member of the WWE Universe, obviously, give me some of your opinions in the chat section. It's kind of going to be a little surreal, kind of a little like foretelling that, okay, these guys are going to walk into a buzzsaw, they're going to get killed anyways. There needs to be a fourth member. It needs to be a 4-on-4. Tungaloa, I think, is the one sitting out. You have Tamatanga, also Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa. Take that's the big three of the bloodline right now. So they need to have a fourth member. It's going to be interesting to find out who they decide to pick up, or if any. I think it's a huge mistake if WWE doesn't make this an 8-man tag. All right, so Moving on, we have a Money in the Bank men's qualifying match. We have Carlos Escobar, that's my boss. We have Santos Escobar, LA Knight, and the United States champion Logan Paul to join Jey Uso, Carmelo Hayes, and Andrade in the Money in the Bank ladder match heading toward Toronto. I kind of feel like this is kind of going to be a way because if you think about it right now, in the ladder match already, you kind of have three guys that might have a chance to actually win it. They kind of need that, that guy that's going to go in there, just cause a whole bunch of ruckus, a luchador, someone to go in there and kind of stir things up. There's no doubt in my mind that I think Santos Escobar is going to find a way to win this match. The LA Knight and Logan Paul will seemingly just kind of take each other out. They should have a United States Championship match at Money in the Bank, but WWE likes to kind of fiddle things. And once again, Logan Paul, talked about his frustrations that WWE doesn't like. They don't like to put the USA title on the line all the time, which is kind of BS. But WWE needs to start doing that. They need to start, every single pay-per-view, you need to have every title on the line. But of course, that's just my opinion. Next, we have Naomi, Blair Davenport, and Indy Hartwell fighting for a spot at Money in the Bank. I think Naomi's kind of a little too old. I, wouldn't really be that, of course, Feel the Glow, yay. But I just don't think it's that much electricity. I wouldn't see why they would make Naomi, one of the Money in the Bank, entrants. Blair Davenport, she's still kind of young. She, has this, this wedge with, Naomi. But Indy Hartwell, she's still, Candice LeRae's partner. I don't think, Candice LeRae is actually going to be the other match. I don't think her or Candice are really going to make it. I'm kind of 45 to 55%. Blair Davenport with the 55%, and Naomi with the 45. So should be interesting. And now we have the other match. We had Jade Cargill against Tiffany Stratton and Candice LeRae in a triple threat match. I think this is the perfect time to put Jade Cargill over to the point where Bianca Belair gets just maybe a little jealous, turns heel, turns on her former tag team WWE World Women's Tag Team championship partner. To have a match at SummerSlam, I think that would, right now would kind of be the best way. I really don't see how Cargill could be the Money in the Bank winner. Could be possible. My pick was, you kind of need the antagonist kind of alive within the Money in the Bank. Obviously, you had Io Sky last year for the women's, so maybe they might go babyface and give it to Jade. I'm not entirely sure. Couple things I looked forward to on WWE Smackdown. What are they going to do with Austin Theory's character turning babyface? DIY will fight against A-Town Down Under for the tag team titles in the future. What's AJ Styles' plans? A lot of things are still up in the air ever since he lost to Cody Rhodes at the I Quit match at King of the Ring. I think it was King of the Ring. No, Clash of the Castle. And Bobby Lashley might he still might be returning. I'm not too sure. Obviously, you kind of have the Pride going on without him, kind of aligning themselves with the LA Knight. Well, guys, do not go anywhere. We're going to jump on into our Thursday Night Wrestling review. We're going to jump into the Ring of Honor and also TNA Impact. So, hey, do not go anywhere.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
And we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time, to talk about all things wrestling, every wrestling promotion behind the curtain, all the action inside and outside of the ring. So make sure you tune into the GSMC Sports Network, if you're on the West Coast like I am, every night at 8 o'clock. So we just recently talked about our WWE Smackdown preview. And now we're going to jump on into my Thursday Night Wrestling review in the Ring of Honor, also TNA Impact. But before we move on any further, I want to remind you guys to use the tips and donations link at the gsmcpodcast.net. Still haven't gotten any chats, still haven't gotten any statements. Tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like. Tell me who do you want to see win the Money in the Bank for both the men and women's? That'd be kind of fun to kind of get into. Shout out your favorite WWE superstar. Shout out if you think it would be awesome to see another crossover like, the National Wrestling Alliance invading someone like WWE. So honestly, guys, it really does help the show. A little positive feedback. Here at the GSMC Sports Network, we do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity all the way. So, just remember to hit up that gsmcpodcast.net. Really does help the show. Like I like to reiterate over and over, guys. This show's a lot better with a lot of audience engagement. So don't be too shy to, send in a chat. Once again, the link is at the gsmcpodcast.net. So let's go ahead and jump on into our Thursday Night Wrestling review. So, you had Ring of Honor tonight. It was live on the Honor Club. It was in Allentown, Pennsylvania. So we got Alex Reynolds with Evo Uno against Lee Johnson. The wrestlers traded some arm work, feeling out the process, kind of, your standard wrestling kind of feel there. A lot. Some of these guys are evenly matched, especially in terms of, I feel like in terms of independent wrestling, also, companies that aren't really, that aren't WWE or really like nowadays like AEW, Ring of Honor, TNA Impact, MLW, also the NWA. You see a lot of these wrestlers that aren't really when they step into the ring, they might be heavily favorited, but at the same time, you don't know. You honestly don't know. A lot of these guys' skills highly reflect on their training abilities and stuff like that. You can see basically that once when you kind of go out there and put on a live show in terms of any kind of wrestling promotion, you kind of work with these guys. You work with these guys. These guys travel together. They're on each other's backs. They're on each other's backs to constantly get better. They've established personal, emotional relationships. Not a lot of people just want to be like, okay, I'm going to kick your ass and, I'm going to take you in the ring. I'm going to get the W, I'm going to get the W 1, 2, 3. Something about Ring of Honor, and also that I see in TNA. And I'm not trying to dog on New Japan Professional Wrestling. I'm not trying to dog on WWE or AEW. But you just see a lot of heart. You see a lot of heart. You see a lot of these superstars that kind of bank on making one another better because they're like, all right, I want to make sure these guys, because, in all realness, we do love these independent wrestling promotions, but some of them do have aspirations of making it up to WWE, making it to AEW. Obviously, with the new partnership between AEW, New Japan Professional Wrestling, and Ring of Honor, there's a high possibility of that. So, you can, definitely a lot of these matches that these guys fight, these guys, they go on for more than 5 minutes, which is actually, which is pretty cool. All right, so you had Lee Johnson finally able to get the pinfall with the big shot drop. Lee Johnson defeated Alex Reynolds by pinfall. All right, and then you see Marina, the Problem, Shafir against, Eric Lay. There was a non-televised entrance for Lay. There was some talk of, wiki feed of announcers, and also Shafir threw her sock into the crowd. Kind of crazy. Shafir used the code of honor to grab a single leg and then grabbed an arm and mounted Lay with palm strikes and then smothered her with, with her hands. Lay rolled through and escaped, but, obviously just show of dominance right off the bat from Marina, the Problem Shafir. I definitely love that, that nickname. Shafir hit a 619 variant in the corner. Shafir hit a judo throw and then locked in a mother's milk for, the rest of the match. And, she defeated Eric Lay, due to referee stoppage. Now that's kind of crazy. Obviously, you still have a lot of these women's superstars within Ring of Honor and also TNA Impact that, they get a little rowdy. They get a little rowdy. Something that obviously WWE NXT, in my opinion, is one of the best women's division in professional wrestling. I think once when WWE gets their superstars back from injury or the inactive roster, they might kind of compete with that a little bit. But after that, you have to think about Ring of Honor. You have to think about Ring of Honor. Although Athena has been a pretty dominant champion, that's not the issue. The issue is that these girls constantly go out there. Queen Aminata also, got to credit Billy Starks as well, who constantly go. Tasha Steelz, some of the best wrestlers, the tag team champions as well. Definitely throwing a lot of flowers at these girls who are still, producing grade A tag team matchups, grade A women's wrestling. Although they might not have the WWE tag, that doesn't neglect or that doesn't like diminish their passion for the sport. And you can watch that a lot. Definitely watching, Ring of Honor Honor Club. Next, we see Lance Archer and the Righteous, Vincent and Dutch against Duke Davis, Victor Benjamin, and also Gannon Jones Jr. So far, you kind of have a lot of these guys. I would say like Archer. Archer is definitely one of the huge, superstars of Ring of Honor that, you kind of think about when you think of Ring of Honor. I think of Lance Archer, obviously Mark Briscoe, Kyle Fletcher, Queen Aminata. I love Athena. Athena is one of my most favorite wrestlers, especially when she was in WWE NXT as Ember Moon. But it's kind of cool. Some of these superstars are dope as hell. Then we're gonna see Dalton Castle. Dalton Castle defeated Nick Comoroto by pinfall, which is kind of crazy. Nick Comoroto is kind of like this strapping man, kind of like this. I don't want to say like a juggernaut or like a lumberjack because he's a little hairy, but it kind of reminds you of like an Ultimate Warrior kind of feel. But he's not as successful as the Ultimate Warrior. I would kind of love to see him get in there and actually get some W's. But we can all find out here. Tyra Valkyria defeated Trish Adora by pinfall. Also, you saw the Ring of Honor Women's Tag Team, Ring of Honor TV Women's Champion Billy Stark against Angelica Risk in a proving ground match. Against all odds, you did see Angelica lose by submission in a proving ground match, but I believe she lasted more than 10 minutes. I believe she did. So she might get a shot. Don't quote me on that. That's it was a fly. Once again, you got to credit MIT, Athena, Billy Starks of kind of running down every single matchup, being able to kind of prove that they're not soft. They are not soft. They're far from that. They're absolutely there to display a dominance in their kind of a credited stable there. And finally, we have the main event. We have Mark Briscoe, my man, the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Champion, against the Ring of Honor Television Champion, Kyle Fletcher. So I was so excited to, watch this match. I was so excited to, see what was going to happen because Kyle Fletcher has been the hottest thing in Ring of Honor, arguably in professional wrestling. He hasn't lost a match since 2022. He's racked up just wins after wins after wins. So I thought the next thing on the plate for him to finally accomplish, especially with him becoming the leader of the Don Callis family after Will Ospreay, seemingly kind of dissed them 2 weeks ago on AEW Dynamite, but he couldn't get it done. And I was kind of happy. Sword, because these two guys are obviously my two favorite wrestlers of Ring of Honor. Love them. Definitely think these guys, I love Mark Briscoe because of his unpredictability. And I love Kyle Fletcher because he's just such a good technical wrestler. He's like that Eric, he's like, not Eric, he's that like Kurt Angle where you watch him and you're like, dude, like I hate him. And he kind of has like a, a bad personality, kind of like a bad attitude. But then he still kicks ass. He still kicks ass. He still dominates. He's still highly successful. He's a wrestler. He's professional. So, definitely love that. Mark Briscoe won. He defeated Kyle Fletcher by pinfall to retain the Ring of Honor heavyweight Championship. So, all right, let's jump on into TNA Impact Wrestling. So we're gonna start off. We're gonna kind of give this a run through. I kind of lasted a little longer than I thought on the Ring of Honor part. Apologies, the TNA Impact fans. But let's kind of run through this. Masha Slamovich, one half of the TNA Knockouts World Tag Team Champions, defeated Zaya Brookside. Zaya Brookside, much like you kind of see every match, in professional wrestling where they kind of build momentum toward the beginning, then there's obviously something that happens. Maybe, Masha Slamovich finds a way to kind of, distract and kind of just, get the energy. But, nothing that you should kind of look down on in terms of Zaya Brookside. I think Zaya Brookside is a huge asset to the TNA Knockouts division in TNA Impact. So she lost against Master Slamovich, but still a lot of good things heading her way. Definitely, definitely happy to see her still in the ring wrestling. Then we have ABC, Jake Something, and Cody Deaner against the Rascals. You saw ABC, despite the fact that they've kind of had a little bit of, little disagreements and stuff like that, they were still kind of ultimately, able to come together to defeat Jake Something, Cody Deaner, and also the Rascals. The Rascals have been kind of on a losing streak. Something that, they kind of need to get centered. They need to find a way to, kind of get their tag team back on the map. A lot of people don't like the Rascals. You like the Rascals because you like heels antagonizing baby faces. Also, their mic skills, I think their promos are actually pretty good. So, it's going to be crazy, especially heading toward a Slammiversary. So we have Steve Macklin against Sami Callihan. Macklin, he wasted no time taking shots at Sami with a huge running knee as soon as the bell rang. He tries to follow up with another knee, but Sami grabs him and lands the Cactus Driver 97. Right off the hop, Macklin tries to dive on Sami, but Sami sidesteps, sending Macklin crushing into the ramp. The intensity stays high throughout the match. Sami eats a KIA while caught up in the ropes, securing Macklin's victory and his spot in Slammiversary. So, Steve Macklin's one of those other superstars. I kind of put him in that same boat as Frankie Kazarian, also Joe Henry, although Joe Henry really hasn't been in the spotlight at TNA ever since he's been, kind of a blow up in the best way possible in terms of professional wrestling, ever since he debuted on WWE NXT. On social media, he's had a lot of views. He's been getting a lot of followers. And, he racked up views more than Mercedes Moné and Will Ospreay's their debut in AEW. So that's a big deal. We can't wait to see Joe Henry once again. Kushida defeated Alan Angels, Rich Swann, and I think it was Nick Nemeth. Obviously AJ Francis was ejected from the Impact Zone, of course, because he's a cheater. He's a cheater. And, after exchanging blows, Nemeth lands a huge DDT and then, securing his spot at the world title match at Slammiversary. That's good for Nick. That's good for Nick. Definitely 1,010% happy for him to kind of, get that victory. Or was it Ryan? Oh, God. Yeah, Nick Nemeth. Nick Nemeth getting a shot at Moose again. That's huge. That's big. Slammiversary is a huge wrestling event in Impact. That might do it in terms of, dethroning Moose because you have a six-pack match. But I don't know. Moose is just so, he's so impressive with the system. It's going to be hard to kind of take him down. It's going to be hard for Nick Nemeth to, finally trying to get it done. All right, guys. So do not go anywhere. Hope you guys like that second segment about, Impact Wrestling, also Ring of Honor. Join me, in a couple of, about, I want to say like 15 to 20 seconds after this ad. We're going to talk about AEW Forbidden Door predictions. Give me some of your predictions in the chat. Tell me who you think's going to win, Will Ospreay or Swerve's House. Don't go anywhere.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
And welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time on the GSMC Sports Network to talk all things wrestling, all the action behind the curtain, all the definitely drama that happens inside and outside of the ring. We talk about contract. We talk about, television deals, television rights, and stuff like that. So everything you want to know about professional wrestling, make sure you tune in Monday through Friday. So just kind of reiterate what we talked about. We had my WWE Smackdown preview. Go ahead and check out that video on YouTube on the GSMC Podcasting Network and the GSMC Sports Network. You can catch all these videos, all these, all these shorts, also these segments and stuff like that one by one. So, make sure you check those out. Segment 2, we talked about my Thursday night wrestling review. Step into the ring of Ring of Honor. Also, TNA Impact heading towards Slammiversary. So, without further ado, we're going to talk about some AEW Forbidden Door. But before we do that, I want to remind you guys to use the GSMC, podcast.net. Use that link for the tips and donations. Tell me how you feel. Tell me, certain things about wrestling that you love, certain things about wrestling that you hate. Certain things maybe as a wrestling fan, you kind of want to see WWE do better. You want to see the NWA. You also want to see MLW, Stardom, AEW, Impact, Ring of Honor, you name it. So, this show, just shoot your opinions, shoot your statements, comments, and concerns. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like about this podcast. We're a podcasting family. We're a wrestling family. Us wrestling fans, we stick together. Whenever we see each other on the streets, we're in a wrestling shirt. We're like, dude, that guy's badass. So, honestly, that's kind of how I feel whenever I see somebody watching, wearing a wrestling shirt anywhere in public. So I think that's pretty badass. All right, so we're going to talk about AEW Forbidden Door. Teaming up with New Japan Professional Wrestling. Recently, you've seen a very marketable relationship, very profitable for both companies. All Elite Wrestling, New Japan Professional Wrestling, and, with Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor and New Japan Professional Wrestling has kind of been, been simpatico for, before AEW kind of got involved. But, since AEW's existence back in 2019, you kind of see them, kind of bite and scratch and claw their way up to one of the best wrestling promotions besides WWE. But nowadays, if you're comparing any wrestling promotion to WWE, it's not really going to work. It's like, it's like, comparing like every single animation show, on Fox, you're like, oh, it ain't no Simpsons. It ain't no The Simpsons. Dude, no one's going to touch The Simpsons. No one cares. Obviously they love The Simpsons and stuff like that. But the point I'm trying to create is once when you kind of have something so big, something so huge, and a lot of people, especially the media, kind of scrutinize you for it, like, oh, AEW, their numbers are decreasing. They can't keep up with WWE, yada, yada, yada. That's not the point, dude. It's about wrestling. It's about wrestling. You have your niche. You have your niche audience. Social media is now more prominent more than ever. So there's nothing really to worry about. 1,010%. AEW's not going to get canceled. Sorry. Obviously, you kind of, kind of relating it to football, the NFL, the UFL. It's never going to be like the NFL, dude. It's never going to happen. Although there's been a number of players from the UFL from the UFL, that'd be crazy aliens from the UFL that's been signed to NFL teams. So you gotta love that. That's pretty badass. So without further ado, let's talk about AEW Forbidden Door, my predictions, analysis, and just my soothing sound of my voice. I'm just kidding. No, just kidding. Moving on. So we're gonna start off. We have the Learning Tree: Chris Jericho, Big Bill, and Brian Keith against Samoa Joe, Hook, and Katsuyori Shibata. Honestly, I feel like this match is going to be a way for the learning tree to finally kind of cement their name and their legacy, because right now they're kind of a joke. And I'm not trying to be rude, I'm not trying to be mean, but right now you kind of watch AEW, whenever you see Chris Jericho come out with these guys, thanks guys, thanks, like, it just seems so surreal, it just seems so asinine, it just seems so fake, it just seems so, like, I don't know. That's why Chris Jericho will eventually turn the learning tree into, I feel like, the way Chris Jericho used to be with his old animosity, because I kind of miss the old Chris Jericho. I really do. Like his willingness to kind of screw people over, in order to get what he wants. Just his, tenacious attitude of being an arse and not giving an F. Just going out there, getting his. I kind of miss that Chris Jericho, and ever since he kind of came back, he was trying to mentor Hook, but Hook didn't want it. So then he, started this whole learning tree thing. You have Big Bill. You also have, the bad apple, Brian Keith, who's injured. So I think he's fighting on Sunday. I'm not too sure. I want to see Chris Jericho kind of move on from this learning tree thing. They could be the learning tree still, but I want to see a way for Chris Jericho to just shock the AEW universe, shock the wrestling community. Maybe I feel like they need to win. But that's just me. Like, if you have them lose, you totally destroy all credibility of the stable before it even starts. It needs to happen. AEW really needs to kind of, it's a little touchy. It's a little touchy. Obviously, you kind of have these three rising stars who don't even belong as trios, tag teamers anyways, like Samoa Joe, singles wrestler, Hook, FTW, singles wrestler, maybe going after the TNT championship, after he finds out who's going to win Forbidden Door. And Katsuyori Shibata, I believe this new merger with New Japan Professional Wrestling and All Elite. I think this is going to be great for New Japan, for professional wrestling. Also making jump into, Ring of Honor. I love Shibata. I love seeing him on AEW, Dynamite, Rampage, and Collision. But I just don't see why you would let these guys, win, especially when you're trying to establish the whole learning tree thing. All right, now we have an Owen Hart Cup tournament. We have Bryan Danielson against Shingo Tagachi. Danielson is, he's recently been dealing with a neck injury. Ever since that, that Tiger Drive, I think it was a Tiger Driver 6, something like that, from Will Ospreay at AEW Dynasty. He's been he's been in tag team matches. Obviously, you saw him in Anarchy in the Arena, but one of those things where, like, the more you kind of surround him in the ring is the more and more you don't really have to take any damage in terms of professional wrestling. Like, that happens a lot when you have an injured wrestler that still, wants to be part of the wrestling, community in terms of that. And they're like, oh, we can't really put him in injury reserve and take him off screen right now because his character is, it's so hot. It's kind of boiling over right now in terms of the promotions, feuds, and potential storylines. So they're like, you know what, let's keep him there. Kind of like you're seeing with Dominic Mysterio on WWE Raw. But I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I don't see Bryan Danielson winning this match. I think Shingo Tagachi is going to be able to, kind of win here. MJF is against Hechicero. I think this is going to be not like a squash match, but it's going to be one of those matches where MJF's going to win. Obviously, this is his first match, coming back in his first pay-per-view since returning from injury. So, MJF's definitely one of the biggest prospects in AEW. Always a threat, especially in his hometown of New York. This guy's not going to lose. Definitely, this is his beloved state. This is his beloved home. He's a technical, a wizard. Hechicero is kind of a powerhouse, submission, kind of guru. So it's going to be interesting. This is going to be a great match. A lot of people, like I said before, it's not a squash match. It's going to be a way for both of these superstars to ultimately show that they still, can still hang into the ring. But I think MJF's going to pick up the victory. Next, we have Zack Sabre Jr. against Orange Cassidy. I talked about this on the last show. Not a lot of pressure on Zack Sabre Jr., but a lot of pressure on Orange Cassidy. Definitely. Orange Cassidy, ever since leaving the Don Callis family, after all the attacks by, Trent Beretta, I think it's time for him to finally win a match on his own, to fight for a singles competition. This is kind of a make it or break it match. I know, I'm not trying to sound more, climactic. I'm not trying to seem a little dramatic, over dramatic, or melodramatic, however you guys want to see it. I'm not trying to take it from a melancholy approach here. I think it's time for Orange Cassidy. If he wants to, establish himself as a single superstar, he has to defeat Zack Sabre Jr. on Sunday. So next we have the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion Jon Moxley against Tatsuya Naito. In my opinion, obviously I'm a huge Jon Moxley fan. I'm a huge, Tetsuya no Naito from New Japan Professional Wrestling. I watched, kind of being brutally honest, I watched like a couple of matches, like looking up highlights and stuff like that. Recently looked up highlights of Dominion, and it was a good pay-per-view. But Jon Moxley just has the IWGP Championship just so wrapped around his finger. I don't think it would be smart for New Japan Professional Wrestling, especially since this merger announced by Tony Khan last month of the two brands. I think Jon Moxley is going to be able to kind of take the world of New Japan Professional Wrestling and All Elite. You're going to see Jon Moxley bleed. He's going to bleed in this match. You're going to see him, be strenuous. You're going to see him like stretch to his limits because of how badass Tatsuya and Naito is. But I don't see him losing. I don't see him losing the IWGP Championship. My prediction is he defeats Naito. Next, we have the AEW World Women's Championship. We have the timeless Toni Storm against Mina Shirakawa. These girls have been, punking each other ever since this match was kind of announced. Poor Mariah May taking the champagne bottle to the face like a champ. If you're listening to this, Mariah May, which I doubt you are, but respect, bro. Respect. If I'm ever in a bar fight, bro, you gotta be you gotta be side to side. You can totally take a hit, dude. Take a hit. But Toni Storm, Mina Shirakawa hate each other. They're competing for Mariah May, her attention, her support, her best friendship. Is that even a thing? Best friendship? But this is gonna be huge. This is gonna be really good. But I don't see why Toni Storm will lose. I'm not dogging on Mina Shirakawa, but I see Toni Storm, becoming the victor. We have the AEW TBS champion against the New Japan Professional Wrestling Strong Women's Champion Mercedes Moné against Stephanie Vaquer. I was kind of talking about this on my last show. I could be a little naive. I'm not, ruling that out. But both of these superstars kind of need to keep their respective titles on each other's shows and on each other's brands. So I think there's going to be a way of kind of like an interference, maybe a disqualification due to frustration by Stephanie Vaquer. But I don't really see any of these women taking the two belts and getting out of here. Then we have the AEW TNT Championship: Konosuke Takeshita, Mark Briscoe, Jack Perry, Dante Martin, Leo Rush, and to be announced. I think right now at this point in time, you need to have Jack Perry win. Ever since he kind of came back, he's been just a thorn in the side of Tony Khan. He's been the hated bad boy. It would just, of course, add to the elite, although I would totally hate it because they would have all the gold and kind of make it a little boring, to be honest. I think if Jack Perry wins, if the Young Bucks, are still the AEW World Tag Team Champions, it's going to be boring. So, make sure you check into that. AEW World Championship, the main event, you have Swerve Strickland against Will Ospreay. This match is going to be great. Once again, Swerve Strickland really has to prove that he's a formidable champion. Who else to fight at a major AEW pay-per-view against the aerial assassin, the AEW International Champion, Will Ospreay? Will Ospreay's electric. He's one of the best wrestlers in the whole entire world. So I think Swerve's going to win, but like I mentioned on my last show, I think the only way he's going to win is kind of a bump in the Don Callis family. you saw Trent Beretta and you saw Don Callis kind of calming him down, be like, look, Will wasn't kind of talking us down. Then you saw backstage that Don Callis was kind of, colluding with Roosh. So there's no doubt in my mind that there could be, kind of a betrayal tonight. There could be Rouge trying to prove his name to the Don Callis family, kind of taking out the quote unquote traitor. Should be interesting kind of, for, the AEW. Can't wait to, get into that. So guys, do not go anywhere. Our next segment, we're going to talk about, we're going to talk about the National Wrestling Alliance looking to invade a wrestling promotion. So, hey, do not go anywhere.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
And welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday on the GSMC Sports Network. 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern time. Make sure you catch all the cool things about professional wrestling, why I constantly love and fall in love with wrestling after every single show, after every single Dynamite, Rampage, every single Smackdown, Raw, NXT, Honor Club, Impact, you name it, NXT and NWA Power. So, professional wrestling is definitely on the rise. I've been a huge fan my whole entire life. So, glad to kind of share this passion with you guys. So without further ado, let's talk about the National Wrestling Alliance looking to invade, a potential wrestling promotion. So yeah, let's dig into it. So the National Wrestling Alliance, obviously you have professional wrestling. Professional wrestling is a very, it's a diverse audience that, a lot of people kind of, you remember back in the 90s, obviously you had ECW, you had the NWA, you also kind of had, the climbing up, the birthing of TNA eventually back in the early 2000s. And then you had WWF/WWE. A lot of these fans weren't really against, collaborations. Honestly, they preferred it. They would have loved it. And I think some of these promotions would kind of still be in business if they were kind of more keen on, kind of being a little more willing on working with the other promotions, not really kind of having an ego toward it. Obviously, Vince McMahon, my man, King Ego. Well, not my man, sorry. I'm just kidding. Moving past that. That was kind of crazy. But obviously you see Billy Corgan of the National Wrestling Alliance ever since he kind of brought them to the CW app. You have, the life of Billy Corgan as a rock star, Carneyland. You also see him as a wrestling promoter. I feel like the NWA is kind of on the rise to a certain extent. I don't know how good it could be. Like they're live on the CW app. I watch episodes from time to time. The Crockett Cup and stuff like that's, heating up. So, Billy Corgan, gotta respect him, Smashing Pumpkins guy. Can they really survive in a wrestling invasion, though? Perhaps they do have talent, but not really any and I'm not trying to sound mean. I'm not trying to, I'm your professional wrestling honesty broker. I don't see the NWA kind of really hanging with anybody from WWE. Anybody from AEW, anybody from New Japan, anybody from anywhere, to be honest. And I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to kind of call it quits. I'm not trying to, kind of dog them before, the dog even entered the fight. Or, I'm not trying to shoot that horse, limp or whatever. But it's crazy. It's crazy. But let's just say that the NWA is kind of like on the rise. Kind of like when you saw the young TNA back in the 2006. So, let's just see it like that. So, the NWA has in fact been seeing growth. They've been seeing more growth, better now more than ever. Yeah, Byron Idol confirms plans for the NWA to do an invasion. The need of a potential partnership is absolutely huge for the NWA to kind of stay afloat here in the professional wrestling business. WWE has been kind of reported on wanting to start something in Puerto Rico, something south of the United States. The NWA has been linked up to the WWC in Puerto Rico, so perhaps maybe that could be a possibility. And just thinking about how it would look for WWE if these two kind of came together, and to be honest, it would kind of make a lot of sense of how you kind of saw WWE kind of annex NXT, so NXT could ultimately be its own entity. So that kind of makes a lot of sense. You're going to have the WWE NXT airing starting October 1st on the CW live. NWA Power every Tuesday night. You're going to see them, fighting on the CW app. So, what's it to say that these guys are going to find a way to kind of, invade each other, or the NWA to kind of, just kind of put its superstars within WWE NXT? I feel like Triple H kind of upheld that belief that WWE with other wrestling promotions would ultimately kind of, it wouldn't suck, but it wouldn't be so beneficial either in terms of the WWE numbers. If you kind of want to be scapegoated toward that, if you kind of want to hold that higher ground and be like, oh, WWE, we don't really want to mess with AEW. We didn't really, want to mess with all that stuff. But these young superstars that need to prove themselves to make it onto the main roster could definitely fight people from all over the world. Japan, England, Germany, India, Russia, South America, Cuba, the Dominican Republic, Mexico, Canada, Australia. These guys can come from absolutely anywhere. It's crazy. And the fact that Triple H kind of left WWE NXT as its own entity to kind of explore those options, to kind of have wrestlers kind of, be like, hey, you want to make it to the WWE? Yeah, let's try you out. We're going to take you in NXT, see how well the fans kind of take you, see how well you perform inside of the ring with some of our big top, young athletes in our developmental, kind of industry and stuff like that. I don't want to say NXT is kind of out there as kind of like an experimentation, kind of program, so to speak, but it's, kind of fitting. It is kind of fitting. So like I said, they're both on the CW. Nick Aldis has, the general manager of SmackDown, has had so much success within the NWA territories. So this could be a lot. Also, you have AEW, Ring of Honor, and Japan Professional Wrestling have recently, merged into a partnership. So maybe this is a way for WWE to kind of be like, all right, like we can, kind of bring some of these people over, like, TNA or, the NWA, or Stardom or the MLW. A lot of possibilities in the world of professional wrestling. In terms of the business aspects, I can see how some you'd be like, do you really want to put some of these non-popular superstars against some of our wrestlers that might not get a huge television audience based on their, name, image, and likeness kind of thing like that? It's a possibility. Hell yeah, that could be a possibility. But ultimately, WWE NXT is probably the best spot for a huge collaboration between TNA and also the NWA. The AEW, I kind of wrote it down, but I try to convince myself that the AEW would be interested. The only way I would feel like they would be interested is to kind of have that content library. The NWA's been along for probably longer than these three wrestling promotions put together. No, I'm just kidding. I don't think that. But I know Ring of Honor has kind of been around for, and New Japan Professional Wrestling. That's the only wrestling they kind of have over there in Japan. But definitely a lot of crazy stuff. Also, TNA. I think TNA and WWE would be absolutely perfect to kind of fit into that spot. Kind of feuding with the NWA, kind of allowing younger superstars internationally to kind of contend. So, definitely be awesome. Guys, do not go anywhere. We got to wrap this up, a lot quicker than I thought. Sorry for holding you guys overtime like I always do. I apologize. But we're going to jump on into our wrestling news roundup. So, hey, do not go anywhere. And we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. It's your boy E here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern time to talk to all things professional wrestling. I'm not going to try to keep you guys too long. We do have my man Amarin with the GSMC Soccer Podcast. So all you soccer fans that are gearing up to listen to the hottest soccer podcast in sports entertainment, I'm not going to hold you guys too much. So let's dig on into our fifth and final segment. I want to remind you guys to use the GSMC tips and donations link at the GSMCpodcast.net. Here at the GSMC Sports Network, we do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity. Remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show, also to the network, so you can get some free sports. You know, nothing like ESPN, nothing like Fox Sports. We mostly pride on our passion of sports. We want to share it with everybody all around the world. We are global. We are international. The GSMC Sports bloodline runs deep, bro. Like Roman Reigns' bloodline. Yeah. I'm just kidding. No, we are really great. Roman Reigns is also really great as well. Let's dig on into our fifth and final segment with our wrestling news roundup. So let's talk. So for my first news story, I have the NXT stars answer Jordan Grace's open challenge. You saw Izzy Dame, crossing that barrier again, that ultimate collaboration. Pretty cool. You saw her in the promotion with, oh God, who were those two guys? Anyways, on NXT on Tuesday, so Izzy Dame is coming back. Izzy Dame is coming back to the WWE NXT. But before that, she wants to she wants to answer that open challenge by the TNA Knockouts World Champion Jordan Grace. It's going to be huge. It's going to be really good. Izzy Dame is definitely, she's that perfect combination of a powerhouse, also an aerial assassin. She's also very technical. She's a submission. She has submission arsenal as well. So you're gonna kind of have the Swiss Army knife of WWE NXT. I kind of reiterated on it before. On a couple of weeks ago, I didn't really wanted to see Tatum Paxley to be the first one from WWE to answer to TNA's Jordan Grace, but she was, which was kind of sad, kind of troublesome. I didn't like it, but the fans thought it was cool. So if they think it's cool, I think it's cool, dog. But Izzy Dame is a different story. Izzy Dame, I feel like, is a perfect person to challenge Jordan Grace. She's going to push her to her limits. I believe it might be heading towards Slammiversary. I'm not too sure. So, glad for Izzy Dame, glad for WWE, and, absolutely ecstatic for TNA Impact Wrestling. Then you also saw Charlie Dempsey. Charlie Dempsey recently made his debut on TNA Impact. It makes sense. And I don't want to keep bringing up his name because, I know there's been a lot of scrutiny behind his name, although, it was allegedly. Drew Gulak, ever since not being extended, his contract not being extended because WWE didn't have any interest in him, or was hoping that Ronda Rousey would eventually come back, and Ronda Rousey wouldn't come back unless he was gone. But ever since he left the No Quarter Catch Crew, the No Quarter Catch Crew has been on a decline. They're looking for bigger superstars. They need some sort of guidance. They need some sort of, they need some kind of position. No, position's not the right word. They need a face. No, not a face. They need a place. Getting closer. They need a purpose. They need a purpose in professional wrestling. And if they make their debut to TNA, they're hot. They're big. Obviously, you do have the TNA champions that, aren't going to be so easily kind of pursued here and stuff like that. But, WWE TNA in full swing. So next we have Jim Ross. Jim Ross confirms that he will be able to make an appearance in New York City at AEW Forbidden Door. Absolutely excited. Round of applause. My man has been having a lot of health scares recently within the past couple of months. He took another trip to the ER, I believe 2 days ago. He posted on Twitter. But good old JR is going to be at AEW. Can't wait to see him. Is he gonna announce? I'm not too sure. I honestly would kind of take it easy. At this point in his career, maybe a retirement wouldn't be kind of so far-fetched. Wouldn't it be so kind of out of this pot, so to speak? But glad to see Jim Ross. kind of walking out there, kind of being able to, at his age, still kind of prove the naysayers wrong. I'd be like, oh, ever since Jim Ross left the WWE, his career has been kind of, SITT, SIATTY, you know, it's crazy. It's crazy. And I think that, people who think like that, it's, we're not really true professional wrestling fans because Jim Ross did so much for the WWE, did so much. And, since he was kind of let go due to like a weird, kind of craziness, in terms of promoting a video game for all, kind of crazy. But, definitely love Jim Ross. Definitely hope for nothing but his success, good health, and also just for him to, live in professional wrestling forever. I don't want him, I want him to live forever, man. If I had to, put a, if I was able to kind of put someone's head on a robotic like body that would fully function like a lung, that would fully function a heart and all that stuff, it would be Jim Ross. To be like, dude, Jim Ross is gonna be part of professional wrestling forever. No, I'm just kidding. No, I think that would be inhumane. But anyways, so AEW has had a television deal offer on the table from Warner Brothers Discovery for the longest time. No, not, the public hasn't really been made aware of it, but recently it's been, it's been shown. It's been shown. And I don't know really what Tony Khan's kind of hoping for. If you sign this deal, you're going to have AEW with the NBA. You're going to have them on HBO Max. You're going to have all your pay-per-views on HBO Max, kind of like WWE and Peacock. So my question to AEW, I don't know if you're kind of holding out to kind of not get lowballed here, but at this point, what are you waiting for? You have to take that deal. You have to be, you need a streaming service. You do 1,010% nowadays. I know Turner Television has been kind of independent for the longest time, but it's HBO Max is big. A lot of people love HBO Max. A lot of shows. Obviously, you saw AEW kind of had, a little, House of the Dragon match between Swerve Strickland and I think it was. Oh, who was that guy from Patriot? Kill Switch, and it was a good match. It was a great, kind of crossover promo. Obviously you can watch House of the Dragon, on HBO Max, 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern time. I think that's the right time. All right, moving on. So yeah, Bryan Danielson. Bryan Danielson confirms that he's dealing with a neck injury. Not really anything, kind of surprising from this. The reason why he hasn't really been really. The reason why he hasn't been in any like really one-on-one matchups is because they got to protect him. They got to protect the leader of the Blackpool Combat Club. Daniel Bryan is honestly, I think he's this close to retiring. I would love to see him within another AEW win. I don't see him moving on with the Owen Hart Cup. I would like to see him ultimately, kind of take some time off, kind of reestablish himself, also kind of rehab his injury. Because a neck injury, it's not like, it's not like a strained shoulder. It's not like a hyperextended knee. It's not like a turf toe in the NFL. A neck injury, that's your career. That's your life. That is basically your livelihood. If you're, kind of, going to be a vegetable for the rest of your life based on, the fact that you couldn't sit a year out, and then it's touchy. It's a touchy subject. A lot of wrestlers like Big E, like Stone Cold Steve Austin, a lot of wrestlers, they saw their careers, like you saw Edge, Adam Copeland make his way back into wrestling, but it's not that easy. Kyle O'Reilly as well. It's not that easy. It's not that easy, especially from a neck injury. It's very touchy, very touchy. All right, and lastly, we have WWE NXT stars have been rumored to be showing up on WWE Smackdown tonight. Can't wait to watch it. Can't wait to see it. A lot of people like Wesley, Joe Kofi, and also Nathan Frazier are going to be live on WWE Smackdown tonight. Can't wait to, they're going to be backstage. I'm not sure if they're going to show the camera at them. I'm not sure if they're, it's going to be, kind of something like that. But, so excited to kind of see it happen. I love it when there's always a possibility of something unpredictable to happen. All right. So, guys, that was my show. It is 9:13. You have about 17 more minutes to grab your favorite snack, your favorite beverage, and get ready for the GSMC Podcast Network show, the GSMC Soccer Podcast with my man, Emran. Thank you so much for tuning in to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast. Hope you guys had an amazing week. Hope you guys have an amazing Friday. Also, an amazing weekend. Get a lot of relaxation. Definitely, treat yourself. Life is short. Call the ones you love. Tell them you love them. Hold them tight. So thank you for tuning into the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a whole lot to us here at the GSMC Sports Network. We do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity. So please, please, please remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button. Also follow the show and the GSMC Sports Network, and leave a positive review. It really does make a difference, guys. We also invite you guys to follow us on Facebook, Twitter/X, TikTok, and Instagram for more content and updates. Like I always say at the end of the show, if I haven't made you a wrestling fan by now, we have TJ and Jeremy on sports. We have my man, Nelson on basketball. Emran, obviously, on soccer. We have Tommy on college sports. We have the Andrew Tate Show. And we also have your one-stop shop for women's one-shop. God, I can't, maybe that's a sign for me to be like, Eric, you're talking too much, man. You're tripping all over your words, bro. You're tripping all over your words. Twipping. Yeah, no, that's it. That's it, guys. It's a Friday. It's a Friday. It's time to open up the weekend. So yeah, make sure you be a part of the GSMC Sports, Bloodline, a lot of podcasts, a lot of people who love sports. Definitely be a part of, something as amazing as this. So, don't fall to pressure of signing up for Fox Sports or ESPN. I'm just kidding. No, those things are great. I'm not dogging on any of those, but the GSMC Sports Network is absolutely 110% free. You get all your sports news for absolutely free. And to be honest, the reason why I love the GSMC Sports Network, and I'm going to kind of keep it short here, is these shows. You watch on ESPN, you watch on SportsCenter, you watch on First Take, the Colin Cowherd Show. You also watch, there are great shows. They are great shows. But a lot of it's the same headlines. You don't really get such, we have 5 segments, of different stuff, different things that some of, that could, kind of prove to like a niche audience and stuff like that. So, what I'm trying to say is just give us a shot. Give us a shot. You might, like some of the shows here. I love all the shows here. I love all the hosts. Everyone's really, really awesome. So guys, do not go, go spending all your crazy money this weekend. We have the 4th of July coming next week. Hope you guys have a good 4th of July. I will be back on Monday, so make sure you, stay keen with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast. Going to be sending some shorts tonight on my reactions on WWE Smackdown. So, hey, have an amazing weekend. Have an amazing night. Sleep well. And, hey, love you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet. Damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.